Dawson Knox, we'll see what happens coming off the bye with his return.
Adam Schefter reporting that the Buffalo Bills are interested in tight end Zach Ertz. And as we heard, Sean McDermott just stated the timetable for Dawson Knox is a little bit unknown coming off that wrist surgery. First thing, Dawson Knox has not practiced. Like, he needs to practice. He needs to showcase that his wrist is okay, and then also get back into the routine and get back into football shape. So to say that he's going to be okay coming off this bye week, it might not necessarily be the case. Now, similar to Shaq Leonard, the linebacker for the Colts that was cut and cleared waivers, does not have a contract anymore and is free to sign to any team, and no team will have to assume their bloated salary. Just like Zach Ertz, he was cut, he cleared waivers, and the Buffalo Bills don't need to assume that $3 million contract as well as like $11 million next year. Zach Ertz is free to sign to any team in the NFL that he wants to for a reasonable rate. And I'll link my previous video above as to why I believe Shaq Leonard would be dynamic for the Buffalo Bills for the remainder of this season. Clearly the perfect replacement for Matt Milano. Going back to Zach Ertz and why Zach Ertz could be a great fit for the Buffalo Bills, it really stems from that Dawson Knox injury. When you look at the majority of the teams that are interested in Zach Ertz, you could see that the Bills aren't the only ones dealing with an injury at the tight end position. You have the Baltimore Ravens losing Mark Andrews for the season. That's a huge loss for Lamar Jackson, and I'm sure the Ravens are definitely going to be interested in Zach Ertz, as well as the Philadelphia Eagles with Dallas Goedert not being there in recent weeks. That is a big-time loss for the Philadelphia Eagles, plus Zach Ertz has played for Philadelphia before. The Kansas City Chiefs don't have a lot of continuity for targets other than Travis Kelce. And I think bringing in a savvy veteran tight end, a Super Bowl winning tight end to pair with Patrick Mahomes also makes sense. And I know the first assumption is the Bills don't need Zach Ertz because we have Dalton Kincaid, and Dalton Kincaid is actually balling out here. This is the most receptions for a rookie tight end in NFL history, and we've been charting this for the past several weeks, and you can see Dalton Kincaid is clearly climbing on this list. 3 weeks ago, I mentioned that Dalton Kincaid had to average 5 receptions per game in order to beat the NFL tight end rookie record for the most amount of receptions their rookie season, and we could see that Dalton Kincaid is doing it. He's still on pace to do it. Currently at 56 total receptions, Dalton Kincaid still has 5 more games left to play, and he only has to get to 81 receptions. Currently, he's at 56 total receptions. We have 5 more games. 5 receptions per game would get him to exactly 81 receptions and make him tied, actually, for first. And we all know Dalton Kincaid is fully capable of more than 5 receptions per game. You could see in 2002, Jeremy Shockey. We could see in 2021, Kyle Pitts. Sam Laporta actually is ahead of Dalton Kincaid this year at 64. Evan Ingram in 2017. Pat Fairmouth in 2021. And then Dalton Kincaid. Zach Ertz at 6'5", 250 pounds has been in the NFL for such a long time. All the experience and also Super Bowl experience, we know how much the Buffalo Bills ultimately cherish that. And when we're talking about having Dalton Kincaid here long term, getting Dalton Kincaid up to speed in the NFL, making sure that he's going to be reading defenses correctly for our guy Josh Allen for years to come, I think Zach Ertz could bring some veteran knowledge and leadership to Dalton Kincaid more so than even Dawson Knox. Similar to what Von Miller has brought to AJ Epinesa, Greg Rousseau, and everyone else on this defensive line, Von Miller has done a lot, bringing a lot of knowledge and NFL experience to the Buffalo Bills. Regardless of his play, he's definitely helped some of these defensive linemen progress for Bills Mafia. And I'm expecting that Zach Ertz can clearly do the same for Dalton Kincaid while contributing here while Dawson Knox gets healthy. 2018, that Zach Ertz went over 1,000 yards receiving as a tight end in the NFL. That shows you how dynamic he ultimately is. It shows you that he understands defenses and that he could do a lot for an offense. And looking at Dawson Knox, he's only in year 5 of his NFL career, and we all know in college he was not primarily a receiving tight end because of A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf. They hardly even utilized him. Dawson Knox is more so a blocking tight end who could also go out and catch the ball in touchdowns, right? He keeps defenses honest because of his blocking ability. He's not necessarily a Dalton Kincaid type. And when we look at the stats here, the stats actually prove it. Dawson Knox in year 5 for the Buffalo Bills, the highest yardage total that he's ever had in his career was 587 total yards. He has had 9 receiving touchdowns in a single season, but again, he's not primarily a receiving tight end threat. He's more so a blocking threat. And when you look at the wrist injury, when you're blocking and your wrist isn't 100%, that is a crucial piece in order to be a sustainable, great blocker. And yes, having a bad wrist doesn't necessarily help your receiving ability in catching the football as well. Zach Ertz is definitely a receiving threat type tight end who could actually develop Dalton Kincaid, help him understand defenses, help him understand zone defenses, where to sit, how to read things, a little bit more so than Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox isn't necessarily tasked with the same things that Dalton Kincaid is going to be tasked with and has been tasked with so far in 2023. So yes, I agree. Dalton Kincaid is great. Quentin Morris is doing some great things. But we do have a big time question mark on Dawson Knox in regards to when he's actually going to get back for the Buffalo Bills here in 2023. We really don't know until Dawson Knox gets out there, starts practicing, starts banging that wrist around, starts blocking with it, starts catching the football. We really don't know how fast he's going to be able to contribute to the Buffalo Bills. A lot of people are assuming, oh, he's going to be back after the bye week, but it could be a little bit more prolonged, and we have to consider all things here. Zach Ertz would be a great fit for the Buffalo Bills, coming in here, being another sure-handed tight end target for Josh Allen to throw the ball to. And don't forget, Dalton Kincaid still is a rookie. I'm sure there still is some trust issues between Josh Allen and Dalton Kincaid. Josh Allen might have to take a millisecond longer just to make sure that Dalton Kincaid is reading it right and that he's in the right position, because we can't afford to turn the ball over. Zach Ertz being a little bit older in age now too, he is still a great blocker. He's a better blocker than Dalton Kincaid at this point too, and we ultimately want to have Dalton Kincaid tasked with blocking and receiving. You can't just be primarily a receiving tight end, just like Dawson Knox can't be just primarily a blocking tight end. You have to be a dual purpose type tight end, similar to Zach Ertz, who has proved himself throughout a long, lengthy career in the NFL, winning and playing in the Super Bowl, bringing that experience to Dalton Kincaid and the Buffalo Bills offensively, can maybe help out Joe Brady in this offense, in addition to some other pieces that we have sitting in the background like Leonard Fournette, who also has Super Bowl experience. The reason why Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott continually bring in veteran leaders that have Super Bowl experience. Even Josh Norman, even Taylor Rapp and David Edwards and all these other players that we've brought in, they have the experience. They know what it takes to get to the Super Bowl, and that experience could help develop the young players on this team. For me, I look at a package out there with Dalton Kincaid and also Zach Ertz, and then potentially waiting until Dawson Knox gets back. Maybe some more 3 tight end sets for this Buffalo Bills offense that we saw earlier in the year. Joe Brady really hasn't had 2 dynamic tight ends out there, let alone 3 dynamic tight ends once Dawson Knox comes back. And if we land Zach Ertz, man, this could present a lot of stuff for this Buffalo Bills offense, to include when Leonard Fournette comes back, some of these big time packages on offense, man, we could outmuscle a lot of defenses. The game versus the Philadelphia Eagles proved that even if you're up by a huge lead at halftime, you still need to be able to run the ball, win the time of possession, and keep that opposing quarterback on the sidelines. Quarterbacks like Jalen Hurts, quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes, these quarterbacks are fully capable of coming back into games. And the saying in the NFL is the best defense is a great offense. And unfortunately, the Buffalo Bills were not able to sustain long drives versus the Eagles in that second half. With Zach Ertz, Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid, Leonard Fournette being out there, and James Cook, all these running backs being able to ground and pound, maybe forcing opposing defenses to stack the box, go to a single high safety, would open things up for this Bills offense dramatically. I know at first glance you would assume that the Bills don't need Zach Ertz, but the proof is there that the Bills are interested in Zach Ertz. And I know Brandon Beane always does his due diligence trying to sort out a market value for all these tight ends across the NFL. And again, I think Shaq Leonard would also be a great fit and great supplement for the loss of Matt Milano. But I want to hear from you. Would you welcome Zach Ertz? Do you feel as though that we need him? Or are you on the ship that we don't need him? We should just roll with Dalton Kincaid and just wait until Dawson Knox gets back to being healthy. But I truly appreciate you guys. If you want to support me and my efforts for the continuation of this channel, hit like, subscribe. Also, it would mean the world if you guys checked out Buffalo Fan Shop, the Buffalo chicken wing style hoodies, long sleeves, red, black, gray, blue, all different colors, free shipping as well. Really do appreciate you guys all so much. BNC attracts the best of the best, and go Bills.